This is a Disaster Central special report. My name is David Vela, reporting in from Houston, Texas, coming on the air with breaking news. A preliminary magnitude of 7.4, USGS now confirms 8.0 has struck the Drake Passage in South America. A tsunami risk assessment is being determined to see whether or not we actually do see a uh, tsunami, but based on things, it looks like there is possible activity for tsunami within the area. We can now confirm that the USGS has been downgraded to, I think, 7.5. I think. We're trying to pull you up live cams. Uh, to the best of our abilities as we can. I want to present to you live coverage. I want to give you what the situation looks like closest by. And as you can see, as soon as we begin to transition, looking at a location is the Drake Passage. I would say uh, Drake Passage in South America, I think. I'm joined by Brady, who is on our team. Let me put you on the air here. Um, can you speak?
Hello.
Okay, there we
Hello,
go.
everyone.
All right, so magnitude fluctuated. I'm trying to pull you up a live cam. Rainy, if you could present the information right now of what we know on the earthquake, then
Okay, let me get to the Tsunami Warning Center. Okay, this is um this is what the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center is saying. They don't issue warnings here because it's not the United States, but they still do issue for warnings for anywhere that is in the Pacific, or they issue bulletins. Okay, evaluation: earthquakes of this size are known to generate tsunamis potentially dangerous to coasts outside the source region. The U.S. National Tsunami Warning Center is analyzing this event to determine the level of danger. More information will be issued as it comes apparable. This earthquake has the potential to generate a destructive tsunami in the source region. I believe this bulletin is a few minutes old, and it's because it still had the 8.0. So I do not think there's going to be a large destructive tsunami. This is a strike slip earthquake, which can still produce tsunamis, but not at the level of reverse or thrust earthquakes can.
yeah. And obviously, we're going to keep you updated as the situation continues. Just to reiterate what's going on, a magnitude 7.5, I believe, has struck the southern
Yes.
region of South America, and we are looking and we are currently trying to see whether or not a tsunami will actually uh, generate off of this. Current indication suggests maybe not, but we're gonna maintain that. We're gonna continue to report as if that is a possibility. Um,
Okay, another bulletin issued. A tsunami threat exists for parts of the
there it
Pacific
is.
located closer to the epicenter. However, based on all available data, there's no tsunami threat to Hawaii. Okay, so yeah, they're not expecting a basin-wide tsunami.
Um, okay, let me. Sorry, I don't want you guys to hear too much because
I
it
wouldn't,
is. We're in the middle of a thunderstorm. So sorry,
I wouldn't,
but
I wouldn't be surprised if there was a tsunami generated, but like we're talking like 1 meter or less. It's a strike slip.
yeah. And obviously, with the situation continuing to develop, you're looking at a live look at Ushuaia in Chile. Um, Currently, it's very dark. It's what I think 10 nearing 11 p.m. there. Um,
Yeah.
so obviously things are continuing to develop here. We're continuing. If you do have any questions on Disaster Central, make sure you let us know. Tag us at Disaster Central so we can read your message. Um, there is
Yeah, I
a
just changed the thumbnail.
thank you. Uh, Ray asks, I just tuned in. When did this occur? This occurred around 15 minutes ago uh, in uh, in the Drake Passage. And for those who don't know what that is, it's pretty much the point between Antarctica and Argentina and Chile. So, like, it's the point in between. And then is my
I know USGS had 8.0 earlier, although that was just a preliminary estimation. That was not the real magnitude. The real magnitude is 7.5, around that range.
I should fix things right now. I'm working on the uh, technical aspect of things right now. For those tuning in, we're continuing to monitor the situation in Chile. Well, really in South America, where we're seeing now potentially a possible tsunami threat for this area after a magnitude 7.5 earthquake struck the region um, a couple of minutes ago. This happened around 9:19 p.m. Central Daylight Time. Uh, and just want to quickly confirm that there is a tsunami threat for the area. And essentially, um, hold on, let me change the colors here. Essentially, what a tsunami threat is essentially a the international version of a tsunami alert. And pretty much what that means is that because the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center cannot issue uh, these warnings, because the Pacific Tsunami Warning issue, because the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center cannot issue tsunami warnings or watches under international uh, areas, um, they have to issue a tsunami threat. So there is a tsunami threat for this area. Want to quickly provide some details on what we know. This is all preliminary, so we can't report on much because there's still too much to be reported. But basically, around 9:19 p.m., there was a magnitude 7.4 earthquake that struck the Drake Passage. We're working on graphics right now, so
The USGS has released their shake map, and the only shaking that was actually felt on land, this is all preliminary by the way, was only intensity 4, which is light. So, and that was in Antarctica, where nobody lives. So this earthquake was really in the middle of nowhere. Basically, the only impacts you could see to humans from this earthquake is a tsunami, which is not looking like it's going to be big.
out in the water, yes, the earthquake did occur in the water. There it is. We have all the graphics updated just for the earthquake. Um, this camera that has been provided to us pretty much essentially gives us a look of what things are looking like there in Chile through two different angles. On the bottom right hand side of your screen, you're looking at a seismograph from a station in Antarctica, and essentially, this is showing right now that aftershocks are ongoing and it's seismically active right now. Obviously, this is because of a major earthquake, but again, that's what we can see here. Your main screen, you're looking at Ushuaia, Chile, and then the top on the right hand corner, you can see your display graphics there, your information. 7.4 earthquake struck at around 9:19 p.m. Central Daylight Time with a preliminary depth of 25 kilometers. That is going to be updated very soon. The location was at the Drake Passage in between Antarctica and the bottom tip of South America. Intensities of MMI4 have been felt in Antarctica, and there is a tsunami threat that exists for the region. What about Punta Arenas?
Uh,
There's
Punta Arenas is in a bay that is protected by a bunch of islands. There is absolutely no tsunami threat to that area.
Yeah, thank you for that. Live coverage continues here at Disaster Central. If you do have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can send them in the chat. We'll be here to answer them for you.
So right now, basically the only impacts to human life this earthquake could cause is via a tsunami, which is likely to not be very big. And I will tell you, this camera we have up right now, they're definitely not going to be seeing if there was a tsunami. They're not going to be seeing it for a while.
Sorry, I'm back. Um, yeah, so this area, relatively speaking, is a bit far away from the epicenter. And in fact, if there is a tsunami to develop, we probably will not be seeing any action from these cameras for
I
about an hour and a half.
think on the camera that might be people evacuating in their cars. I don't know. They seem to be kind of like speeding away from the beach.
Well, I think that would be typical because of the tsunami threat. Um, I think at least the tsunami threat. It depends on what the government issues, but obviously, if the government themselves issue a tsunami warning, then that possibly could explain what we're seeing here. For those tuning in, a quick recap of what's going on: a magnitude 7.4 earthquake, USGS 7.5, struck the Drake Passage in the ocean that pretty much is between South America and Antarctica. So it's at an ocean with a depth of 25 kilometers. Intensities 4 were felt in Antarctica, and the tsunami threat does exist for the region. To clarify, this was in the ocean. The earthquake did strike in the ocean, and more uh, obviously more details are expecting because this is still extremely preliminary. Um, and I should point that out that the details we are getting, uh, they are extremely preliminary and that they are subject to change. Um, so
Um, this earthquake was a strike slip earthquake, which means it still can produce tsunamis. Strike slip earthquakes can still produce tsunamis, but definitely not at the scale to which a reverse earthquake or a thrust earthquake can. That a reverse earthquake is what happened in Kamchatka a few weeks ago, and that caused a large tsunami. I do not expect this one to cause I do not expect this one to cause a large tsunami, but a tsunami threat is still definitely there.
yeah, and for those asking, because we're getting a lot of questions about where this earthquake struck in the ocean between uh, South America and Antarctica. Apologies for the mic. Still working with this microphone. If you do have any questions, comments, or concerns, please send them in the chat. We'll be here to answer them for you. Um, given the current mechanism of the earthquake, we don't expect much to. We don't expect much to. We don't expect a tsunami, at least here, but because of the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center, obviously being the experts in this, they say that it is possible. So we're going to keep an eye on that. as we speak, and we actively are keeping an eye on that as we speak. We're trying to do some stuff here behind the scenes. So give me a couple of moments.
Okay, the National Emergency Management Agency for Chile. Um, oh wait. Okay, wait. Never mind. This is New Zealand, not Chile. They're assessing whether it has created a tsunami that could affect New Zealand, which I doubt is happening.
Trying to update titles here, but
I
it's
said I when I said I doubt that's happening, I don't mean I doubt a tsunami's happening. I mean I doubt a basin-wide tsunami that could affect New Zealand is happening.
all right. There we go. Um, there's a lot to cover right now. We're trying to keep things straight, but the overall summary is that a magnitude 7.4 earthquake struck the Drake Passage, which is the ocean that covers or that is in between Antarctica and Chile and Argentina. The Pacific Tsunami Warning Center a couple minutes ago issued a bulletin that suggested that a tsunami threat is possible for this area and that there could be a tsunami generated from this earthquake. Um, and then a couple seconds ago, the the New Zealand center said that they are assessing the threat for tsunami, which will likely come out as unlikely because we don't expect a basin-wide tsunami to form out of this. So that's just what our assessment is right now. Things are obviously changing, so it's just gonna take a couple of it's gonna take a couple of give or take 30 minutes to see whether or not what the full picture is. Um, trying to pull up more information. You're taking a live look in Ushuaia, Chile, which is a bit far away from the actual location from the tsunami, uh, where a tsunami would likely be at. And right now, as you can see, very dark. We did see a couple of minutes ago, we did notice that tons of cars were leaving out of the coastline. Um, Perhaps this could be a sign that evacuations are underway in case of a tsunami forming. And obviously, if you are under a tsunami threat, you should take precautions into what you need to do because uh, tsunamis don't form in just one wave. Tsunamis can be destructive. There's been multiple examples of tsunamis um, striking the region uh, and causing devastating impacts. Obviously, uh, these were generated of generated out of bigger earthquakes than this, bigger magnitudes. But it's important to note that just because this earthquake is a 7.4, a tsunami is not out of the question. Um, and for those that are tuning in on minute 20 of coverage, a magnitude 7.4 earthquake struck the Drake Passage, which is the uh, ocean or part of the ocean that covers the um, that covers the or that is in between Antarctica and South America. Um, then a tsunami threat was issued a couple of minutes ago, give or take 15 to 20 minutes ago. Coverage continues here on Disaster Central. We'll be here to continue live coverage for a bit as we are seeing that the situation continues to develop. Pluton says on the NOAA website it is normal. The earthquake there is at a magnitude 8.0. We think that the I think that it's outdated because the USGS downgraded it to a 7.5. Um, if I'm corrected. Disaster Central will continue live coverage for around 30 to 40 minutes just to get that perfect 1 hour mark here on our special programming. For those that are tuning in, we are seeing a major earthquake strike South America in the Drake Passage, that is the ocean that is between South America and Antarctica. A tsunami threat does exist for the area. However, the given the given the circumstances beneath which the earthquake did form, we are safe to assume that a tsunami threat is not as likely as people are expecting.
Yeah.
Let me just show you what the seismographs look like, and they're actually very simple here. Let's zoom in, and you can see that it's been quite active since we last accessed this. So we've had access to this live seismograph for about a good 20-ish minutes, and we've seen that constant smaller aftershocks after smaller aftershocks are ongoing within the area. So that's what we're seeing here. Beverly says no tsunami buoys active at the moment. Only one northwest of Australia, and that's to be expected. The mechanism between the with this earthquake was strike slip, and with a lot historically speaking, strike slips don't necessarily produce major tsunamis. Um, Commonly, it's uncommon to see strike slip earthquakes produce major tsunamis within these
And
areas.
the reason for that is strike slip earthquakes. The mechanism, the two faults, they're sliding against each other, and they're not like in a thrust earthquake. One plate is dipping down beneath another, and that causes the other one to move up violently, and obviously that's going to cause under the seafloor that's going to cause a large displacement of water. But with strike slip, you're not really getting that vertical momentum that you would see in a reverse earthquake or a thrust earthquake.
Yeah, so for that reason, we don't think, at least here, we're not the experts, obviously, but based on just logic and reasoning, with that being said, obviously, based on that, we are here going under the idea that we don't expect a big tsunami to form out of this. But I think something we can discuss is about the activity this year. This year has been extremely active. I think we can all agree it's been extremely active in terms of major earthquakes. In terms of total earthquakes overall, it's been relatively average, but the major earthquakes is what's playing a major factor here. We've seen one major 8.0 earthquake, the first time we've seen an 8.0 since 2021, and it turned out to be an 8.8. And that was obviously in Kamchatka in Russia that produced the basin-wide tsunami. And then obviously in a couple of months prior to that, we saw the Myanmar earthquake, which was, I believe, a magnitude 7.4, if correct
Seven
me,
point seven.
7.7, which killed a couple thousand people, unfortunately. And we saw complete devastation between Myanmar and surrounding countries. And then Obviously, prior to the Kamchatka earthquake, we saw a 7.4, and then we saw a 7.4 again in Alaska. So I think, I guess one of the questions would be is why are we seeing such a rise in activity in terms of major earthquakes in this year compared to like last year or the year before?
Um, I mean, it really could just be coincidence, but also a lot of these faults, especially Kamchatka and the Sagaing fault, which produced the Myanmar earthquake, those haven't gone off for a long time. There are a lot of seismic zones and subduction zones that haven't gone off for a long time, and we've seen a few of those go off this year, like in Myanmar and in Russia.
Um, yeah, and you know, obviously we hadn't seen a Kamchatka earthquake of this size since I believe 1952.
Yeah.
And so I mean that zone had been practically inactive for a bit. Obviously, there has been the occasional seven in Kamchatka. In fact, I think I can recall 2 years ago we had a 7 point something in Kamchatka.
There were a few. There were a few sevens some years ago.
But you know, just overall, if we're comparing again this year to last year, um, it's been more definitely more active. In fact, I completely forgot that a couple months prior to Myanmar, we had that 7.5 in Honduras in the Caribbean. Um,
That was in February,
that
and
was
we
in
also had a 7.1 in China, which killed a significant number of people at the very beginning of the year.
yeah. The so it's been extremely active this year in terms of major earthquakes. In terms of total number of earthquakes, it's been, I mean, I don't know how to describe it. It's been relatively normal, I would say. Um, I think they've been relatively normal. Let me quickly pull you pull you into our new feed of our seismographs. There it is. You can see it now. We had to update it. To answer the question, if you are in Hawaii, there is no tsunami threat for the area, so you are in the all clear. Um, but yeah, so for those tuning in, we're just right now in the middle of a discussion about activity this year because it's been. I think we can all agree that it's been quite active. It's been quite the activity, in fact, about this. It's been quite the active year in terms of major earthquakes, um, or just significant earthquakes in general. Um, Obviously, the situation is always developing, but I can't recall. I think I can't recall, at least in the last 3 years, that we've seen constant sevens within like a 6 to 8 week period. Um, Obviously, we had that 7 point.
This,
Go ahead.
um, go ahead.
Oh,
Okay.
obviously we had a. Sorry about that. We obviously had a 7 point. Actually, no. Before that, we had a like 6.9 in Oh, what's that place? It's like in Indonesia, I think. We had a 6.9 in Indonesia. Then the day after, no, 3 days after that, we had the earthquake in Alaska, the 7.3, which produced the 2-inch tsunami. Then after that, we had a 7.4 and a 7.3 earthquake strike, a doublet sequence strike Kamchatka, um, which I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, it was confirmed to have produced a 2 meter wave within the area. That can be fact checked later, but that happened, and then we take a break from major earthquakes until around July 28th, I think, was when the earthquake struck. So we're nearing about a month since that Kamchatka earthquake struck, and it was an 8.8. And then after that, we saw a couple of major aftershocks, and actually, we're still seeing aftershocks in Kamchatka right now.
Uh, I would like to say something. So the I guess the Disaster Management Center in Chile has issued they call it a state of precaution for the Antarctic territory. They are they are requesting people to evacuate the beach in the Antarctic territory of Chile. So that is Chile. They claim to own part of Antarctica, but it's not. A lot of countries claim to own part of Antarctica, but it's not like I guess like actually theirs. But they're asking people to evacuate in Antarctica, but I don't think anybody really lives there.
Yeah, so it's just a precaution. And I was going to say that if they had issued that, that would have explained why we saw such a huge, uh, I guess, overflow of vehicles in the last couple of moments, in those last couple of
I don't.
frames.
I don't. I don't believe Ushuaia is in the Antarctic territory. I believe Chile claims they own a piece of the actual continent of Antarctica. I know Argentina does. A few other claims they own a piece of Antarctica. So I guess they're issuing that evacuation for there, which there's obviously not going to be many people living there because it's Antarctica.
Yeah. Um, so, yeah, that's news there. So I guess Chile is issuing the precaution to evacuate the beaches in the Antarctic region of Chile, which is the territory that they've been claiming to have for a couple of years. In fact, ironically, I think that's the part that got one of that social media influencer in trouble in Antarctica. I think, um, but that's besides the point. Yeah. So just overall, this year, just generally speaking, the main theme of this year has been very active. Um, Arguably one of the most active years we've seen of the decade. It still does not compare to 2021, but in terms of the overall impact, this is up there to 2022, 2023.
I'll just say there's a bunch of countries who claim they own a piece of Antarctica. There's Chile, Argentina, the UK, Norway, Australia, France, New Zealand, but they don't actually like. It's not actually. I guess it's not actually part of their country. They don't actually. There's no. They don't have any jurisdiction there. They just claim to own it.
Yeah, and that's been the main theme, and that's probably going to be the main theme for tonight. Disaster Central is going to keep programming the special report programming in for 30 more minutes until we hit that 1 hour mark, and then we will decide whether or not we want to switch to automated stream based on current resources. I believe that Brady, I think you're starting school. We've been starting school.
Well,
So
actually, I don't have school tomorrow, so.
oh, already, all right. Um,
Well, I usually don't have school. I'm not gonna explain on screen, but I don't usually have school on Fridays.
hmm. Okay. Yeah, that's fine then. So that's that. For those that are wondering what's going on, for those tuning in, we are covering, or we're really much now in the discussion period in the phase. But right now, for those who want to recap, a magnitude 7.5 earthquake struck the Drake Passage, which is the ocean that is in between Chile and Antarctica. Then a couple minutes later, at around 9:30 ish, we saw the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center issue a bulletin saying that a tsunami threat does exist for the Antarctic or the Antarctic portions of Antarctica, obviously. And then literally a couple minutes ago, the Chilean Emergency Management Agency, their own version of the Emergency Management Agency or management, has issued evacuation orders for the beaches in Antarctic Chile, which is pretty much a portion of land that Chile claims to have. But I don't think anybody lives there. I think it's relatively unpopulated. So that's what we know so far. If you do have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can ask them in the chat. We got a team here. We can answer them for you.
Wait. Um, the okay, wait, never mind. I guess the website just updated.
Yeah, so those are now. So if you guys are now clearly beginning to understand what the seismograph is. Yeah, we just saw a relatively decent aftershock, I would say. In terms of whether or not we were able to see it pop up on Global Quick, we haven't seen it yet. But how long does it take to confirm? Confirm what? Whether or not a tsunami struck? Those can take months, if not weeks, if
Yeah,
not
there's
months.
usually you're looking for buoys, but this is a very unpopulated area. There aren't really any buoys out here to actually see or measure the tsunami, so we're not gonna know for at least if there was a tsunami, we're not gonna know for at least a few days.
But yeah, obviously the situation in Chile remains uh, practically the same that it has been prior to the earthquake. Not much changes except if you are in the beaches of Antarctica. Antarctica. I can't pronounce it. I'll try my best though. Um, so that's what the situation is there. If you do have any questions, comments, or concerns, send them in the chat. We'll be here to respond to them. But yeah, the overall theme. Again, back to the previous message. I think we could agree that this activity like this was pretty much expected to happen at some point. Now, obviously, um, you can't predict earthquakes. Obviously not. But what you can do is essentially be able to make a educated guess on what the future could hold in terms of just the overall average. And what we're seeing is that we're seeing a big aftershock here, folks. Big old aftershock. Yeah, that's a big one. Um, but pretty much what we are seeing, and what we saw before this was 2021 was the last year we saw an 8. 2023, we saw a couple of 7s. I think that may have been. No, 2022, we saw a couple of 7s. 2023, we saw a couple of 7s. Most notably, we saw the doublet sequence in Turkey that killed 50,000 people, unfortunately.
That 2023 was just a really bad year in general for earthquakes. There wasn't necessarily a huge concentrations of large ones like sevens, but there was a lot of very deadly earthquakes.
In fact, I think that was the year where we saw another earthquake in Morocco that killed 6,000 people, or like
And there was
3,000.
also an earthquake sequence in Afghanistan that killed, I think, around 5,000 people, I believe.
Right. So 2023 was very deadly year, despite the fact that we had not we didn't see eights. Um, then 2024 was, relatively speaking, was very, I don't know how to describe it. It was really below average in terms of what is expected for activity. Um, there was not many major earthquakes that year, or significant earthquakes that year. I remember specifically, uh, 2024 was very notable for obviously a Noto. the Noto Peninsula earthquake, and then Taiwan. But then after that kind of jump in period, that kind of after that kind of jump in earthquakes, we kind of saw things die down. Then this year, obviously with the February 7.5 in Honduras, then the 7.7 in Myanmar, and then these last couple of 6 to 8 week period has been full of sevens and an 8.8. So um, this year has been extremely active, and you can kind of predict. You can well not predict, but you can kind of see it um, coming into fruition because when you don't see activity like this in the seismos or in the in these zones, earthquake zones, the stress does end up building, and when you have a lot of stress building, there's nowhere else for the stress to go but to release, and that's how in turn we get active periods. Um, Quick question coming in. Exodus asks, any significant volcanic systems nearby? I don't think so. It's in the middle of nowhere. Well, it's in between South America and and Antarctica, but there's not very. I don't think there's much in terms of volcanic systems that are nearby in the ocean. There might be in a case. There might be a underwater volcano somewhere there, but apart from that, I don't think. Yeah, I don't think that there is any volcanic systems there. Oh, speaking of volcanoes, during the Kamchatka earthquake, some of you may know this, some of you may not, but a volcano in Kamchatka had erupted for the first time in like 500-ish years.
Yeah, that was a few, I believe it was like 2 or 3 days after the earthquake. I'm not sure the name of the volcano, but it was definitely a large eruption.
It was a large eruption, and it's notable because this earthquake, at least from the current leading theory, is responsible for the volcanic eruption. So that's interesting to know. And obviously, for those who might think that this is rare, this is actually really common. Uh, Most notably in 1707, when we saw the eruption of, or when we saw the Nankai earthquake, uh, a Nankai earthquake that was of magnitude 8.6 struck the region. A couple days later, we saw, or I think it was 12 hours later, 12 hours to like a couple days later, we saw the eruption of Mount Fuji, which is, I believe, the last recorded eruption, major eruption in Mount Fuji, uh, as far as I can go back in terms of thinking. But yeah, that's it's very common for these earthquakes to have significant effects on volcanoes.
I feel like Russia got very, very lucky with the 8.8 because there was no deaths in the country of Russia. The only death was indirect and was from Japan of someone who crashed their car while trying to evacuate from the tsunami.
Yeah, but I think that has to do more with the fact that the earthquake itself was in the ocean, first of all, but second of all, the tsunami struck. The biggest wave struck at relatively unpopulated areas. Um, had the 8.8 earthquake struck a little bit north, we could possibly be talking about Kamchatka, Petrov, something like that, the big city.
Petropavlovsk-Kamchatsky.
Yeah, Petropavlovsk, Kamchatsky. We could have seen a tsunami hit there, and I remember that stream because we had a live cam there for like a couple hours, and
There on that live cam, I had it recording during the actual tsunami. during the warning and stuff. And I did, after looking through the video, I did see that there was a small tsunami that was captured by that webcam. But it was definitely not to the scale of how the tsunami was in other areas. I know there was a 20-meter run up in I'm not sure where, but it
In
was
the,
nowhere close to Petropavlovsk-Kamchatsky.
it was in the Kuril Islands, I think. Um, Great question. My niece has a au pair from South Africa. Well, if you're asking whether or not South Africa is under threat for tsunami, the answer is no. Um, where in South America, please? So the Drake Passage is the earth. The Drake Passage is the ocean that is between um,
Antarctica
that
and
yeah,
Chile.
and Antarctica and Chile. It's literally right in between. It's been known to be one of the most dangerous routes in terms of trading because of how many icebergs are there, um, or rocks are there. Uh, Question: how far offshore? If I had to calculate, I would say about 100 miles down south from the shoreline. 100-ish, 150 miles. There. So, hopefully that answered your question. It is currently 10:23 p.m. Central Daylight Time. It's been about an hour since the 7.4 earthquake struck the region, and in terms of what we have to report, we don't have much to report. Information has been extremely slow. Um, yes, correct. Coroticus. Did it rock people's structures in Chile? Any damage reports? No. So this earthquake was this earthquake's epicenter was much closer to Antarctica than Chile. So what that means is pretty much we didn't actually feel much shaking in Chile. In fact, the actual intensity for shaking on the MMI scale or the modern Mercalli intensity scale actually happened in Antarctica. So um, we did not. There hasn't been no damage reports. In fact, the USGS doesn't have any shake map that suggests that we saw um, a that we saw damage within the area. So or shaking within southern Chile and Argentina. Um, but yeah, to answer your question, we have not gotten any damage reports, and in fact, it's possible that very little to nobody felt this earthquake in Chile, or in Argentina,
And or even at all.
or at all. Yeah, that's another thing. Um, Disaster Central is continuing to monitor the situation in uh, Chile and Argentina, in which we saw the, or in which we're seeing the, um, or we saw this huge earthquake strike the region about an hour ago. Disaster Central will go live for, um, or Disaster Central, also known as Space Central, will be going live for space coverage on the planetary alignments. Uh, Fun thing to watch. We have our own setup for that uh, coming soon. But yeah, I thought we should let you know. Just quickly get this going. Rocky Michael, don't worry. We will have live cams on telescope cams on the deal here to see whether we can find the planets or not, which is a possibility. But I will be live for that. Disaster Central will be ending the stream in about 9 minutes to fulfill our hourly special report programming. Rainy, if you want to give any closing thoughts before we end, then go ahead.
I'll definitely say this earthquake could have been in a worse location. For a 7.5, this is definitely the best way it could have happened.
Yeah. Obviously, the tsunami threat exists, but we don't expect a tsunami to form because of the overall. Wow,
Just
sorry.
the way the earthquake ruptured,
Yeah,
strike slip, it's
because
not
of the
going to
strike
create a
slip,
tsunami.
and
Well, it can create a tsunami, but nothing big.
yeah, it would have to be extremely strong. We have a
You would have to have some sort of vertical component of motion to have a big tsunami from a strike slip, which isn't really, that wouldn't really be a strike slip.
For those tuning in on our live stream, we are about to end the stream in about a couple of minutes, but to quickly recap for you guys that are tuning in, a magnitude 7.4 to 7.5 earthquake struck the Drake Passage, which is the um, which is the ocean that is surrounding between the tip of South America to the tip of Antarctica and Antarctica. So that happened. Then a couple of minutes later, the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center issued the bulletin that suggested a tsunami threat was possible for the area. Then the USGS said that this was a strike slip, which meant that the tsunami chances were almost zero to none because of the mechanism, which was strike slip. Strike slip, for tsunamis to happen, you need vertical motion. Strike slip is very horizontal, which means that we don't really see, you know, tsunamis form out of this. In terms of the question, we just got a question in from Debbie asking, was this on the Ring of Fire?
No, it was not.
It was not on the Ring of Fire. This was right in between. I wish I had a map that would show the actual faults. That would have been so nice to have the fault lines
I mean,
here.
I guess you could consider it the Ring of Fire, but it's kind of, I don't know what ocean you would, it's the Drake Passage, it's not the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah, but actually, I think I'm gonna be able to pull it off. But pretty much, let me actually just quickly show you what we mean by it not being in the Ring of Fire. Hold on. All right, so you're gonna look at our map here. We have a fun little map. Um, Here, and pretty much the Ring of Fire is referred to this area around the Pacific where all the land masses are at in the Pacific. This earthquake struck here, right? The Ring of Fire actually doesn't extend that far into the earthquake, into the Drake Passage. It actually only extends about around here, and then it goes up north to where these more famous faults are at, like Concepcion, where these big earthquakes have struck, and then it just covers up north, goes towards North America. Obviously, goes towards Kamchatka, which is where the big earthquakes are struck. goes towards Japan. Japan, everybody knows Japan for the earthquakes. Taiwan, the Philippines, Papua New Guinea, some like Samoa Pacific Islands, Fiji, Vanuatu, New Zealand, and then it kind of goes down. So we don't really see much of a. This isn't really considered a ring of fire by a geological standard. It's not considered, but one could make the argument that it is. So, let me switch you back. Let me switch you back to a live look at at Ushuaia, Chile, in which you're looking at two live shots that interchange every minute, but you're looking at multiple perspectives here. This is a bit far away from the epicenter itself, but it's the closest live cam we have towards the epicenter. So, yeah. And actually, let me quickly just say this before we end the stream. Um, Disaster Central goes live for more than earthquakes. We go live for hurricanes, typhoons, volcanic eruptions if necessary. We also go live for space events and severe weather. So if you are interested in our coverage, if you liked our coverage, make sure you subscribe, turn on the bell notifications, turn on the and like the video. Follow us on Instagram and on Twitter. The links will be posted soon. We got 1,000 of you people watching, so definitely interesting. Let me quickly pull this up for you. I can just copy link. You can follow us on Instagram on here. We post a lot of pictures from our contributors. I'm back. This earthquake did strike about an hour ago at around 9:19 p.m. Central Daylight Time or 10:19 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time in America. In Eastern Time in the United States. Everything looks fine right now. The live cam, which is the closest thing we have, is very far away from the epicenter, so we won't see much action here, but it's the closest we can provide. So, we're trying our best here. All right, Rainy, you want to say any closing thoughts before we end?
Just stay tuned for any other earthquake live streams, and thanks. See you.
All right, well, Rainy, Brady, you are dismissed.
Okay.
All right. All right. Let me quickly do this. Where is the tsunami threat heading? The tsunami threat from the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center, at least, was for the Antarctic region of Chile, which is this portion of Antarctica that is claimed by Chile, but it's not necessarily accepted by this. So that's the only real tsunami threat. It's in Antarctica. Oh my God. What country is this? You are taking a live look in Ushuaia, Chile, which is about around a couple hundred miles from the, about 100 to 200 miles from the epicenter. very beautiful town. Uh, this specific live cam here is protected by tons of islands, and basically they do that. I want to quickly see what's going on with my. Okay, I thought my graphics were bugging. Um, okay. Will the tsunami reach New York? No, it will not. In fact, I don't think the tsunami will reach um, Chile at all. Let's see. It just happened. No, this happened about an hour ago, so a little late to the party, but you know, welcome to our community. Uh, where did this happen? This happened in the Drake Passage. And let me actually take you, let me just show you guys where the Drake Passage is at. Maybe you can understand what I mean by a bit being a bit far away from the area. So let me quickly transition our feed here to my map, my trusty handy dandy map. Um, and you can see here, the earthquake itself happened right here. The red dot is the major earthquake, and it happened right here in between. This portion here, which is owned by Argentina, and then this portion here, which is owned by Chile, the Falkland Islands, and then you can see the tip of Antarctica there. So, you know, um, our handy dandy map is there. Uh, and this is where it's at. And for the earthquake nerds that are in our stream, this is about a couple hundred miles from the 8.8 in Concepcion in 2010. The Concepcion earthquake struck around here, where these islands and essentially peninsula was at. So is at, and then obviously that was a destructive earthquake. And then yeah, so that's a little bit more of a key context there. I had to get the music on here too, because it's kind of quiet when it's. I don't like how quiet it is when it's just me doing solo commentary, which happens a lot actually. For those who don't know, my name is David Vela. I own this channel and I own the project. Um, I have been doing this for around 3 years. You're taking a live look again at Ushuaia, Chile. Beautiful town, by the way. Um, I own the project, and essentially, I've been doing this for 3 years. I've been producing these graphics for a couple of years now. They were nowhere near as good. In fact, if you go back to our earlier stream, back in at least publicly available in 2023, it's very different than what it was before. But you know, uh, I own this project, and there's not much else I should. There's not much else to say. But yeah. Trying to keep graphics up in display. Um, if you do have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can send them in the chat. We'll be here to answer them. Uh, and you can see, actually, this is really cool. You can see the mountains up here in this live cam. I just started noticing this. It's because of the pollution, light pollution, but you can see the mountains there. Those mountain peaks are beautiful. I would love to climb those. Jack Frost asks, "What's tsunami height?" We don't know what the tsunami height is, but I will say this: me personally, I don't think that we'll see a tsunami from this because of the mechanism of the fall. Um, the way that earthquakes work, the way that tsunamigenic earthquakes work, you need to have some sort of vertical motion. And with this earthquake, it's a strike slip. So with what you see with strike slips, they're pretty much horizontal movements. And when you have horizontal movements, you can't really get much energy to be transferred towards the ocean. So essentially, this earthquake really has a very small chance of producing a tsunami because of the just because of the mechanism. Now, had this been a thrust earthquake, um, then we would probably be talking a decent sized tsunami. Was this shallow? So this was around 25 kilometers deep, which is around 6.5 miles deep into the earth. Which so yeah, it's pretty shallow. But we've seen shallower earthquakes before. Um, Also, guys, quick apologies. I am sick right now. In fact, everyone in my I started school a couple of weeks ago, right? About 2 weeks ago, and everyone in my school is sick with this bug or something. We think it's COVID, but COVID in the Big 25, right? But um, yeah, we're sick, so don't mind the coughs. Don't mind the very, I guess I wouldn't say bad, but kind of sick sounds, the sick noise from my voice. Um, yeah, I'm pretty sick. Is it rare? Well, if you're asking whether or not it's rare to see earthquakes that are strike slip, it actually is very rare. It's happened before, but most of these have been 8.0s plus. So, you know, um, it's there. Yeah, guys. I mean, look, it's I've been sick. I got sick yesterday, and for those who don't know what I do, if you a lot of you guys, I'm pretty sure y'all don't, but I'm in the I'm in like the performance arts of my school, right? We're in a pretty top band, and I play there, and I was struggling today to do rehearsal because I wasn't able to breathe through my just through my nose. So yeah, I was struggling there. We have been it's we've been sick, like super sick, like a cough. But yeah, we're gonna push through. In fact, when I found out about this earthquake, I was in bed, um, about to go to sleep, and then I see the notification like, oh my gosh, I gotta go live, and I did go live, and now I'm here with you guys. Um, so yeah, how are we doing, y'all? Let me ask y'all this actually. Uh, no, I am not. No, I don't. Uh, Tactics, I don't. Let me ask y'all this. I do this every stream when it's just solo. Um, how are we doing, y'all? And where are we watching from? There we go. We put this poll up. We do these polls up like once in a bit, but it's fun to see what you guys have to say. Yeah, they do. I rarely get sick. I never get sick because I've just, I don't know. Just generally speaking, I have decent. I just never get sick. But when I do get sick, it's like a bomb hit my house or it hit my immune system. So, you know. And for those tuning in wondering why we're kind of having these off topic conversations, so let me just quickly um, explain uh, pretty much what we do here. So at Disaster Central here, our main purpose is to get you the information, but to also report on the facts with a bit of personality. And because it's a group project, we can't say, obviously we can't show all of our faces to the camera. So what we try to do is we try to have this commentary where it's more relaxed than the actual news agencies themselves. We try to push for engagement, and interactions within the community, than to just you know, than to just report on the news without people telling you. So you know. So we got people from Central Florida, Sacramento, Los Angeles, Richmond, England. All right, we got a couple of English folks here, I think. Seattle, beautiful place. Hawaii, beautiful. Big Island of Hawaii, beautiful. New York State. So upstate New York, I guess. Beautiful state. I've been there. Dallas, Texas. Houston's better. Might be my bias. Oregon, pretty beautiful state. South Dakota, Central Alberta, Canada. New Zealand, Sydney. Wow, we got a lot of diversity here. Canada, South Dakota, a couple of people from South Dakota. Redding, California, Canada, San Antonio, Rochester, Lake Ozarks, Ontario, Bellingham, Cleveland. We got a huge diversity of you folks here. That's nice. It's always good to have a interaction with you guys. Some of you guys might know me because I typically try to interact with you guys a lot. For me, the important thing is to talk to you guys. Try to hear your thoughts. Because for me, in my opinion, so let me explain to you what my thought process is with this. Let me explain to you what my thought process is when it comes to making these streams. Let me pause the music really quickly. By the way, apologies for the voice. I'm very sick, but I've said this already. But essentially, what I do here. All right, bro. In fact, yeah. So we got a few fellow Houstonian here. All right, Timothy. Good to know. So my thought process when I go live is I try to prioritize you guys, right? Because I think social media has given birth to a platform, or has given birth to a way of coverage in which no one, like news stations, don't do. I don't see news stations, I don't see news stations interacting with the viewers except for like those call-ins on C-SPAN. But I think YouTube has given a very good opportunity for people who actually do want to stream, whether to interact with the chat, because the viewers are ultimately the most important part. You're not going to get anywhere if you don't have a consistent viewer base or a community, in fact. So the way I hit news is preliminary news, and if that changes, then we'll pretty much say things have changed, and the situation looks like this. So we're very raw with it. We're obviously very raw because if we were very pre-scheduled, then I would not be talking to you guys. But that's what we try to prioritize. Hey chat, for those who think that I'm not sick, I am. You might not be able to tell because of my microphone, but and to the comments that are suggesting, you know, I don't interact with you guys, but it's really funny to, it's just funny to see you guys interact like this. For those of you who think that I may or may not, uh, you know, um, do the as some people say the Zaza, I can't do that because if I in the marching band, right, you have to have a lot of breathing power. So, you know, I breathe a lot and I don't get sick, but when I do get sick, I sound like SH, and you can spell out the rest. Um, yeah, everybody has an opinion though, so I don't call you guys trolls. Um, you know, you guys are opinionated. But all right, this guy. Um, but let's read some comments here. You got to boost your white blood cells to fight off bad stuff attacking her. The thing is, I never get sick though. Like, I'm convinced that. All right, now we're just trolling. Uh, I'm convinced that like when I don't get sick ever. The last time I got sick with like something as minor as like a cold was 8 months ago during the winter, and it was like right after it snowed here, and I just got sick with influenza. But then after that, I hadn't gotten sick with anything. So you know, I think we're just we're just at that point. Fluids and lots of rest. Yeah. Well, I could be getting rest right now, but I'm here with you guys. I'm just joking. I'm not trying to guilt trip y'all. Back to business. There's no tsunami. Uh, I should say. Let me actually make sure. Let me confirm this. Uh, there is no tsunami threat for the Caribbean. That just came out though. No tsunami threat for the Caribbean, but there is no tsunami threat. So for those of you, let me actually change that. Actually, um, sorry guys, there is no tsunami threat here. Um, so there we go, folks. For those that are tuning in, wondering what the tsunami like is, that like that, it looks like a tsunami threat is gone. So there it goes. Thank you for the. Hey man, Carol, thank you for the 50. Uh, we appreciate it so much. Seriously, um, we appreciate it so much. Here we go. The mic again acting up. All right, I'm back. My microphone was acting up. Wow. Sorry about that, guys. But essentially, yeah. I'm trying to read some comments up here. Uh, let's see. There's been a lot of pollen here in England. It's been so dry. It's been super humid here, like ridiculously humid here. Um, Carol, thank you for the donation. It means a lot for us. Um, we try our best here, and just by the way, this is not me trying to incentivize you into donating, right? Because that's another thing that I will not do. Um, I normally will accept donations, but I don't push for it. Why? Because the fact that you're already here already is enough for me. And a lot of and I look at some YouTube channels, and if you're just doing it for the money, I just don't see the passion for it. So You know, um, but you know, this is not you guys being here is already enough. But so thank you all of you for being here. But obviously, donations are always a compliment. So Carol, thank you so much for that. I don't want to mispronounce your name, right? Yeah. Okay. Um, chill stream. Let me just try to read this. Chill stream can be restful too. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it could be. I would say it is. But for me, I like to do streams that are well over. I like doing streams that push 2 hours because that incentivizes me into, you know, doing stuff, well, working a lot into, into the audience. But, you know, where am I currently located? Am I in Chile? No, I'm actually in North America. I'm in the United States of America, particularly Texas. You can follow our Instagram, by the way. We post a lot of contributor made pictures here on Disaster Central. And let me see. So I can give a quick shout out to. Yes, the good old state of Texas. So yeah, John Neri followed us on Instagram. Uh, hey, thank you. Um, Trying to see things here. Um, Hold on. I'm texting someone really quickly. I should not be doing that, on here, but it's very urgent. Okay, there we go. Back to you guys. Humid Texas, yeah, 6 a. I am not in Chile. I'm not in Chile or in Argentina or in any of anywhere in South America. I'm in Texas. I'm in Texas, y'all. Good old state of Texas. Uh, so, you know. Oh my God, this microphone, man. Sorry about that. Um, oh my God, it's doing it again. Okay, I'm back. Um, all right, bro. I'm reading y'all's chats like progressively as the mic continues to destroy itself. Um, bro, rage bait? Question mark. It was not powerful. In fact, no, it was nowhere near powerful enough to be felt in Texas. Question: what is the yellow graph on the bottom right? That's a very good question. So essentially, this is what we call a seismograph, and this is a station in Antarctica. And essentially, what this does is this records what the shaking feels like in or what the shaking is like at a station on a seismograph. So if they're shaking, you'll be able to see the yellows, and obviously as you can tell in the yellows, um, it's been shaking there for a bit. It's been very seismically active, as they say. Whew. Man, I'm tired. Um, Christ. I could push it for 30 more minutes, but I'm really tired. I got school tomorrow. Oh my, dude. Um, and for those who are considering subscribing, tough crowd. All right, bro. For those who are considering subscribing, um, oh yeah, okay. Thank you, Mike. Back to what I was saying. For those who are considering subscribing, I should note that we don't just do earthquakes. We do hurricanes, we do typhoons, obviously earthquakes, tsunamis, volcanoes, space weather, stuff like that. And you should note that we take a more chill route to this. We don't necessarily just report on the news. Uh, we don't just report on the news and then just be done with it. So we just yeah, we just you know um what am I trying to say? Oh my god, I'm blanking so bad. Uh okay. Um we just try to take a calmer side. That's the main point. That's the main objective. There we go. It's purely raw. It's news without the spin. That's what it is. That's what I was gonna say. Obviously, it's gonna be news without the spin because it's chaotic and it's raw. So, um, this seems like my kind of channel, so I subscribe for more. Hey, appreciate it. I think you'll be I think you'll be I think you'll enjoy this channel. I would hope. Um, and I think that's what the goal is when I do these type of live streams, right? I just try to you know, um, take a chill. Obviously, if it's like huge breaking news and I'm like struggling to go live, then like for the first 30 minutes of a stream it's gonna be so serious, so chaotic. But then once I start getting the hang out of things, then the that then I start taking a calmer approach. So just beware for that. Was there an earthquake or not? Yes, there was. You're looking at the graphics right now on your right hand side of the stream. 7.4, 25 kilometers deep at the Drake Passage. Intensities of 4 being felt in Antarctica, and there is a tsunami threat. So all right. Well, good night, Jack. Enjoy your night. You know, it would just be so funny if I just decided to click disappear on all of these. Nah, I won't do that. Um, I won't. I hope not. I don't want to jinx it, but I won't. See, Jack, now you're making me consider whether or not I'm jinxing things now. All right, guys, I'm gonna call it a day. Um, I hope you guys have a wonderful night or day. I don't know what time it is for y'all, but I'm tired here. We're sick, so and I got school tomorrow. Enjoy your night, folks. Let me play my theme real quick. There you go. Enjoy your night, folks. We'll see you soon. Have a great night, and we'll speak to you soon. Ciao, ciao. Good night.